Well, hello everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I know it's been a while, and I don't think anybody's wondering what Zane's been doing, but it's been an interesting time for me, is all I could say.
Contact! Enemy infantry engaging!
But,
Contact! Enemy infantry!
I'm gonna just get right into it, like why I'm making a video now, and it's
Frag out!
almost out of confusion, mostly out of curiosity. I just had I just did an interesting thing, and it's something I didn't think I would do. And I don't even want to say I really did it per se, but I partaked enough in it, like, and that's having a faith debate sort of thing. And well, how it started was I caught the end of somebody's stream, and that somebody was Deconstruction Junction. And well, originally what caught my eye was I guess the title, more or less, or at least what was on the back of the video, or the background of the video, and it was talking about how God was a meanie. And already with language like that, I have some interesting assumptions. But I'm just wondering, how is God a meanie exactly? I was just wondering, and it took a lot longer to find that out than it really should have. But after about 30 minutes of back and forth with people in the chat, somebody finally touches on at least one thing that they just was like, yeah, God's a meanie for that. And it has to do with the situation in Exodus, and with Moses and Pharaoh, and specifically with God giving the warning to Pharaoh not heeding the warning, and God making good on his promise to take the firstborns of his people, basically. And how a lot of people read that is, well, let me not say a lot of people, how a lot of those people read that as God commanded people to kill babies. And well, that's not how that went down. But the way that they made it seem was like it was explicitly and exclusive to the firstborn babies of Pharaoh's people, basically. And well, that just isn't true. But yeah, that's kind of what their whole contention was about. I'm not gonna say the whole thing, but at least a part of it, as to why God is a meanie and a dictator, I guess. And I'll be honest to you, even how I looked at it, is that you have two leaders. You have a God, you have a real God and a false God. Because, and I say false God because, well, if you were one of Pharaoh's people, you didn't have a choice. You had to treat and revere him as such that, he was your God, or you would be dealt with accordingly, obviously. And you know, in war, there are casualties of war, and I'm not justifying it as much as just reasoning it out. God gave Pharaoh a choice. Pharaoh rejected the choice, so God did what he had to do to free his people from their enslavement. And I could see how you could want to maybe have a problem with that. But I don't actually think there's a problem with it unless you were not of God's people. If you weren't of God's people, sure, maybe if you were one of the firstborns, like maybe yeah, sure. And their whole thing was kind of like, well, what did those people do to be condemned to death? And like I said, I genuinely think it was more of like a casualty of war thing, but like it's not necessarily just because they were on the wrong side, but you know, Pharaoh's people were Pharaoh's people for a reason. He was working on the Israelites just like he worked on his own people. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want to say all of Pharaoh's people were like Pharaoh, but you know, some reason and some sense could kind of lead you to believe they were somewhat like-minded to a degree, you know. I wasn't there. I don't know these people. I'm just trying my best not to assume, but like I said, just trying to reason it out. Um and at the end of the day, I don't want to say that these people were necessarily innocent, because it's not like they were standing up for the injustice of the Israelites either. You know what I mean? Uh, I don't want to say they were just as much as part of it as Pharaoh, but you know, whether he's your quote unquote king or God or whatever, you know, you can make your own choices at the end of the day. And I want to say there's some verse that speaks about uh, worldly laws and the comparison to uh, heavenly laws, basically. I want to say, I'm not sure exactly how it goes, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. Um, but what I'm saying is, people had the choice to choose, even if uh, they didn't like the choices, is what I'm saying. And yeah, that they were on the wrong side, basically. And I'm not here to justify or really figure out exactly what God's intentions or reasonings were at that moment in time. I I don't know. Won't act like I do. But yeah, I really thought it was interesting that, well, that was one of the reasons they brought up. Cause and they were and in the stream before it ended, I caught probably like the last 5 minutes, literally. Um, they were talking about justice and injustice and morality and things of that nature. And I,
Feels dangerous here.
you know, like I said, if you look at it like two leaders fighting for their people, um, you know, it doesn't not make sense. Casualty, war is war, and well, Pharaoh chose to go to war with God. He put his people in that predicament what can you do under poor leadership? You know what I mean? You could choose not to follow that leader, but did they choose that? Is the question. I would say not. Um, yeah, and so like I said, it was somewhat of a debate, and it was like I said, it's something I didn't think I would do, or definitely not something I want to do, because I think faith debates are a little dumb per se, and exactly why is because it wasn't a real debate or a discussion even, and I didn't even really want to have a big discussion. I just kind of wanted a couple questions answered, like why God was a meaning to them and this and that, and well, they were coming up with some interesting reasonings, or childish, how I put it. Like, is the tooth fairy real? And then when I asked them why do they hate God, they
Hey, look at me. Stay with me.
tried to twist my words around. Like, I was trying to say they hate God because they don't believe in God. I don't care if you believe in God. I don't care if you follow Christ. I don't care what you believe in. And that's kind of why I'm whatever on the whole faith debate thing. But I had actually asked why they hated God because, well, literally how they would talk about him and talk about Jesus. And, you know, if your tone is negative, your tone is negative. It wasn't like they were being neutral or saying anything positive. So I was just wondering, like, literally, like, what their problem was. And eventually, yeah, they gave some type of reasoning. I don't think it was very valid, but that's what I mean. Like, that's why I wouldn't want to do faith debates in general. Like, you it's very rarely you're talking to open-minded people, and I say exactly what I told them. I not coming here to change anybody's mind. That is not what I'm doing. I am not looking to change your mind. But if we can have a discussion, and your perception or opinion or whatever changes because of the process of the discussion, or the quality of the car, or whatever, cool. Like, whatever. Like, that's not my goal. I actually could really kind of care less. It's more so a curiosity thing, more than a I want you to believe in what I believe in thing. That's totally on you to choose whatever you want to choose. And speaking of that, they also brought up something interesting, and it was talking about uh, free will, basically. Like, how could I have free will if there's A, B, and C, and God knows I'm going to choose B? So how could I choose 7? Like, that was literally what they said. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But like why would you put it like that is my question. And literally, I'm like, well, obviously God knows, and you really want to choose 7. Like, you're coming at this argument from the perspective of, like, God is fixed to your will. Like, you decide what God decides. Like, God didn't decide that you were gonna choose B because you said he decided you were gonna choose B. You know what I mean? And it's like sitting here trying to act like you don't have the free will to do whatever you want. Like there's nothing stopping you from doing whatever you want to do. It's kind of crazy. And what's crazier to me is they'll sit here and try to call me and other people in the chat delusional because uh, we believe in free will. Like I'm confused. I don't get it. I think you would be pretty delusional to sit there with a slave mentality, trying to act like you don't have a choice. Like you can't do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying that you should, and you know that's a that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I've gravitated to where I've gravitated to because, well, I don't believe I should just do whatever I want to do. I don't think anybody should, but you have that choice. And that's another reason why, I'll have discussions about it. I'll talk about it. I don't want to have a debate about it, but I'm not sitting here looking to change your mind. If your mind's going to change, it's going to change because you want it to, not because Zane did anything. So it was just, it was an interesting time, is what I'm gonna say. It was an interesting time. Uh, like I said, I probably went back and forth in the chat. Really, like I said, like literally just trying to figure out what the stream was about. Because like I said, I only caught the last 5 minutes. Apparently, God is a meanie. I wanted to know why. And yeah, the whole Israelite thing, or the whole Exodus thing, is really all they had to say about that. Um, yeah, and it was just crazy. I don't really care that much that I partook in it. I guess like I definitely feel like well, at least the people in the chat. Like I was more so looking to talk to the person on the stream, just like, well, why? I wanted to hear what they had to say, not what his followers had to say. And on that note, they did also bring up a point about cults, basically, people who misconstrued and used the Bible to their own desires. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm saying, you got the choice to do whatever you want. Like you could say you're a follower of Christ, that doesn't mean that you are. Uh, but yeah, I was more so looking to talk to the head honcho, or get my question answered by the head honcho of that group of people, and well, I didn't. And it was really two of them, so I don't know. They were in their little circle and going back and forth, and I was just curious. I mainly got, I don't want to say rage baited, but I was definitely like supposed to be triggered by the whole chat. Like they were saying some interesting things, and it's like, well, you could tell how they were talking. Nobody actually wanted to have a serious talk. Uh, it is what it is. That's kind of why I wouldn't want to have like a faith debate because, well, you go into a debate trying to change someone's mind or something of that nature, and well, if someone is set in their way, like they think they're right, I think I'm right. What what is us arguing about it gonna solve? Like you either want to have your mind changed or you don't. I don't necessarily want to have my mind changed, but I'll hear you out just out of pure curiosity. Like, what's your gripes? What's it all about? You know. So yeah, like I said, it was an interesting time, and more so a waste of time. I want to say, and well, why am I even talking about it now? Is a good point. I'd say I'm probably talking about it to more so shed of an awareness on things, um, because I guess this is my first experience with it, sort of thing. Like, I know it's people that don't like God, or I guess one thing when people don't believe in God, but to sit there and say he's a meanie is interesting. Uh, so like, it's interesting. So like I was just wondering what it was about, and yeah, I just I just got a problem with people not being honest about things. Like, I'm sure it's I don't know. I'm hold on. I don't know if there's more, but for all I know, it could be more uh examples, or there more reasoning to their reason as to why God is a meanie. But just based off the one they gave, it's just totally untrue and not honest at all, and it's just kind of it rubbed me the wrong way. And it's interesting that these people are telling me to read, and it's like, well, I read the same thing you read, and we got two totally different interpretations. And you know what? I'll be quite honest with you. When I read that, I didn't think nothing of uh, God taking the firstborn to Pharaoh's people because Pharaoh did what he did. Like, that's why did God punish the people because of what a Pharaoh did? Like, I couldn't tell you exactly why, but I could give you a couple of my conclusions, couple of my reasons. But I think it's a result of war, and if you're warring with God, is consequences. Like, just like if you war with anybody, it's consequences. And it wasn't like there wasn't a warning. You know what I mean? Pharaoh actively, relentlessly was against God and his people.
I don't like the look of
Um,
this.
what was he not? What was he supposed to do? What what was he supposed? What was he not supposed to do? Like, was he not supposed to clap back? Like, was he not supposed to do, like, was he not supposed to do that? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't really think. Like I said, I don't think nothing of it, honestly. And honestly, when they first were talking about it, like, I don't know if I said this earlier, but they were saying that God commanded people to kill babies, and I'm like, already just the interpret, like I said, the words that they're using is like already just, it's leading to all types of assumptions. And but I'm still just asking questions. And when they finally told me what chapter and verse they were talking about, even in what they quoted, they said it. Actually, give me 1 second. And this is exactly what they quoted, was Exodus 11:4. Moses said that, "Thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go out through Egypt 5, every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the female slave who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the livestock. Now, that's I don't know what the whole 5 thing is about. I didn't just read that from the Bible. I read that from the actual comment, and yeah, it says it right there in the beginning. Moses said, "Thus says the Lord." He didn't say anything about the Lord telling Moses, and I don't remember there being anybody else but Moses in that story. Like in that whole situation, like Moses and Aaron, but like I don't think 2 people could have went and killed a whole bunch of babies at midnight by themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where did it say that God told people to go do X, Y, and Z? And that's just a little thing, but you know, it's the things like that, like the interpretations and the exactly what they said, the misrepresentation that people have done in the name of the Bible and et cetera, et cetera. They're doing the same thing, and that's it's exactly why I'm like, I kind of like, it's probably my problem with it. Like, you know, I like truth. I prefer people to be honest, but obviously that's just not how it's gonna go every time. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and yeah, I would say that's mostly the reason why I'm making this as some type of awareness, but I guess to some degree probably just vent my experience a little bit, or acknowledge it, I guess, because like this is the first time I've ever talked to people in this manner. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really a debate, and it wasn't really a discussion either. Like I would ask questions, and then they would ask questions, and well, I would do my best to answer them with what I know, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know everything about the book or about God or about Jesus. But you know, I know how to not take things out of context at the very least. I know how to keep my mind open to the truth, and if I don't know, at least admit I don't know, and you know, look for the truth. It was just, like I said, it was just an interesting moment for me, I guess. There's nothing really else to say on the matter. It's over and done with, and you know, that's probably been one of my biggest problems with Christianity as a whole, and that's kind of what's more or less ignited my interest in it, or for it, I guess. And it's been the difference between people misrepresenting God, misrepresenting the Bible, and what it's actually supposed to look like. And clearly that's a little bit of their problems too, but you know, I'm not gonna say or act like I know all their problems. I don't know these people, and just like based on what they said, I can make a lot of assumptions. I know I don't want to talk to those people ever again, but we'll see how life turns out. I didn't expect I'd be talking to him tonight. That's for sure. And yeah, like I said, I don't know everything about it, and they said something interesting about I'm too far gone, and basically people that believe in God and the Bible and Jesus and etc. are as delusional as people that believe in the tooth fairy, basically. Uh, sure, you can definitely believe that. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you can't, and I'm not gonna argue with you about it. Um, but I'm very new to the faith, and I've read a little bit of my Bible, not a lot, not all of it, just a little bit. But Exodus was one of the chapters I read, and I actually liked and mm, interested me the most, actually, uh, in the Old Testament. Anyways, I have been more or less radio silent because it's not like I really have an idea of what I'm wanting to post exactly. I thought I did. I thought things were going to work out a certain way, but they didn't, and that's kind of a little bit of something I've been dealing with because it's definitely some disappointment from that. But I just gotta find something else that I care about, and I've kind of thought about this already, and it's kind of been debunking uh fault. I don't want to say debunking falsities. I don't think that's a word. uh, I guess debunking false doctrine or uh, you know, debunking lies, like just kind of like looking at the common misconceptions and doing my best to accurately paint them. If I'm not sure what the opposite of misconception is, but I guess properly concept them. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's something I've thought about before, and I guess that would kind of be the next thing that I'm interested in because I'm telling you, I didn't like it. I didn't like hearing bold faced lies, honestly, and it's not because like of the people per se. It's just because it's just wrong, and your perspective can be whatever it is, but generally, and this is somewhat biblical, um, if you have a misconstrued perspective, personally, like one on one, I don't have to come to you per se. Like if you were my friend, sure. If you're a random person, I'll mention something. But it's not my job to sit there and try to change your mind. But as for the whole internet thing, like you know, if it's a popular, untruthful opinion out there, I might just find time to uncover the truth. Gives me another reason to get more into my faith, if you ask me. But as for that, pretty much set. I'm gonna start reading the New Testament, the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and yeah, like I don't know. I think it would be best at this moment to at least, you know, kind of get that under my belt. Um, from what I've just been hearing, it's some key elements in there I think would benefit me a lot at this time. So yeah, that's kind of like what my thing is, and well, I guess until I have something interesting to talk about, interesting to me, I guess I don't don't have any fans at the moment, but yeah, until then, I guess well, that's it. I yeah, yeah. I don't think there's anything else. So yeah. Whoever's listening, whoever watched, thank you, appreciate it. God bless, and peace out.